Vandenberg, you get the last word here on where we're underinvesting and what our breakthrough is going to be.
And one advantage of going last is I can just agree with what everyone before me said. But I would, reiterate that I think we're underinvesting everywhere. I mean, a challenge that we're confronting at Launch Alaska is that startups can go anywhere they want these days, anywhere in the world. And there are countries outside of the U.S. that are throwing a lot of money at modernizing their grids and building out their infrastructure. Where I think it's all going, which I'm very excited about, if you're going to pin me down on a single kind of area, I think that it's all converging. We focus on food, water, transportation, and energy for a reason, because those four areas are all part of the same system. And as you look at the kind of grid of the future, the idea of a prosumer, folks that both consume electricity but then also feed back into the grid, and that all of the nodes within a grid are talking to one another, and they are at any given point deciding where the most economic the most economic point to buy and sell power from. This kind of for that future to come to reality, we need to invest in the communications platform to let that grid really become smart, to use a buzzword. But I'm very excited about that, the kind of technologies that allow for grids to be dynamic and to be totally connected through communications. I would also point out that for this reality to come to fruition over the next 50 years in the U.S., that we are going to need a lot more transmission, and there's just no one that's going to do that if it's not the federal government, because in order for us to move towards that decarbonized economy, we're going to need to be able to be sending power over between grids and between regions that where those lines just currently don't exist, and there needs to be a massive investment in transmission infrastructure for the country. But thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Manchin, and thank you to each of you. Appreciate your contributions. I do think that this is an area that is exciting, because we really just don't know what that next big one is going to be, or how something that may not necessarily be viewed as a breakthrough, but when applied in an area that we haven't really thought that it had much application, and next we find out that, yeah, this is actually something that's going to work over there. So there's a lot in front of us. We've got a lot of challenges. We recognize that the grid and transmission, how we can have great ideas about how we generate all this power, but we also have to talk about how we move all of this to where the people are, where the users are. That is equally a challenge for us. But again, I think it is important to recognize that when it comes to tackling the big issues as they relate to climate change, tackling the big issues as to how we keep our economies strong, how we keep our competitiveness globally, that it's going to require that every day we're pushing ourselves to just build things out a little bit bigger, better, faster, and to take the leadership role that I think Americans expect, and in fairness, I think the rest of the world expects us to lead in these areas. And so let's take it up. Let's innovate. Let's create. Let's be the Imagineers that we know that we are. And you've helped shine a little light on that today, and we appreciate your contributions.